Hello everyone who keeps on joining, so we have more people coming in. Okay, so we start with the meme, right? Are we starting with the meme?
Why not?
Okay, good.
Right. So last week, as I said, we had the contest for the best meme. And actually, we have the winner of last week's contest just joining in. So Sean here has sent us this meme. Let me just see if I can try and find it. Right. So we don't have the applause machine here, but congratulations, Sean. You win a case of beer. As soon as the line's clear, we're sending that case your way. Or if you are in our neighborhood and coming close to us, we can always share that case here.
The only way you get it is actually you come here and we drink it with you.
Right. So, yeah, prepare your memes, send them over. You can send them to me. You can share them in the chat, wherever. And then next week we'll see who's who in the meme world. Right. Okay. Let's get this started. So, welcome back for episode 2 of Drinks with the Professor. I'm here with Marko and Marko this week. So, Marko Square. And for those of you who joined us last week, you know what it looks like. So we're going to have a light chat about the current situation, about how working in this situation is really like. We're going to tackle a few more topics that are of interest to Filix. So last week we had the premiere of our underwater workshop video. So you guys have a chance to look at it on YouTube. You can check the video. You can also find the link for the whole show, for the first episode on the, well, I'll give you the link here in the chat. So when you have time, you can have a look at episode 1 as well.
Yeah, the idea was actually the link is a reproduction of the Splash presentation, which is an underwater light presentation, which we usually do live. So we basically travel around, we rent a pool, we take the lights, take them underwater, and then we show it's a live mock-up, in a way to say. So people have the real opportunity to see how the pictures go and how they go. So you can check it out yourself.
Right. We've been quite busy this week. We've been doing a lot of online demos, online presentations of our new products that we were planning to launch in Light and Build. So that is something that we keep on going with. We're trying to see if we're sitting on something good or the improvements are just there for show. So far, so good. We'll see what happens next week. We launched the website last week as well, so that's up and running. You can check all the new products on the website. What else? Yeah, last week, as I said, we touched a bit in the underwater. This week, we wanted to expand a bit on that topic. That's why Marko here, our head of R&D, joined us in the studio. We're going to go a bit more in depth into the IP68 rating, which is a big part of what we do. Being involved in a lot of underwater instruments manufacturing.
Yeah, the reason we wanted also to address this, because it's a very important topic for us. There is 2 sides we usually get to see this topic from. So one side is the technical side. So what the IP really is, what it does, and how it works. So through several questions, as Ilsa said, Marko is going to explain us. But at the same time, there is the sales side, where a lot of, we've seen a lot of challenges and a lot of products trying to be set as something which is an IP continuous submersion, but actually in the end is not. So in this regard also we want to stress out what we do to make it IP68 and how it's done. So, you know, for us, IP68, we look at something as submersion. While nowadays on the markets, you have a lot of products appeared with IP68 limited submerging capability. So it's not something we focus on doing and developing. So basically, we want to tell you what the difference is and what we do with it. So guys, keep on going.
Right. So as Marko said, a couple of questions to bring the topic a bit closer. So first we're going to start off, Marko, with a real easy one. He's going to tell us what IP68 actually is and what that means.
So basically, the IP rating, or in the full name, ingress protection, is a standard where the manufacturer gives the rating of its electrical enclosure. So basically, it specifies how good is the sealant of that electrical enclosure. It consists of 2 letters and 2 numbers. So letters ingress protection, like IP, and the 2 numbers. First number is the number which describes the how good is the enclosure protected against dust and other materials. And the other number is the number which describes how good is the enclosure protected against moisture. So basically, IP68 describes the product that is completely, basically hermetically sealed. It doesn't allow any dust or moisture ingression inside of the housing. So,
is this, does it mean for a continuous term, or?
Yeah, it's a hard question to.
What does the standard say about it?
So the standard says that IP68 is the continuous immersion below 3 meters, but the duration of the test will be decided with manufacturer and the certification society. So we test our products IP68. We have a knowledge which gives us the confidence that it will be completely submerged for the
continuously submerged. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, what can this, so looking at the instruments, as you said, electrical enclosures, what can the IP rating cover? What types of instruments can be IP rated?
So basically, those are really electrical enclosures. Every engineer that designs its electrical components and its enclosures has to decide which type of IP rating will it have. So if you have a IP rating of 20, you will allow dust ingression to the electrical enclosure, but also you will allow moisture ingression. So there is numbers from 1 to 6 for the dust and physical material, and 0 to 8 for the moisture. Each number describes type of water or dust ingression.
Okay, so that was my next question. So you have had it covered.
Yeah.
So the question was, how do we read the IP rating? So as Marko said, so the first letter is...
Yeah, so it's not science. So you just need to go to the internet and look at the chart. IP, or ingress protection, and two numbers after IP. So after reading the chart, you will clearly see that each number has its designation. 6 will say, first number will say that it's completely sealed off from any particles, and the second number will define that it's completely protected against moisture ingression.
Okay, so what is 6 is the maximum protection from dust particles ingress, and then in the water particle ingress we have 8.
No, with the new standard we have 69K, but that's for extreme types of
environments.
Environments, yeah. The subject will be underwater for extended periods of time, and it will be
under high pressure.
Yeah, high pressure, high temperatures, and so on and so on.
So in any case, IP69 plus or K, whatever we call it, is not something it's not something common in a common use of lighting industry. Special applications, I guess, like tunnels, excavations. And
no, this is only for specialized equipment.
Okay, good. So we reach maximum IP68, and
IP68 for underwater is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Right. So IP68 is one of the ratings we work with. The other rating we work with quite often in the outdoor range of products is the IP67. What is the difference? What is the main difference between those IP ratings?
So as Filix is oriented towards in-grounds and underwater fixtures, we have most of our products are IP67 or IP68. The main difference, the only difference between those products is the pressure vent. In the in-grounds, we have the pressure vent to stabilize the pressure and temperature inside of the fixture. Because of the when the fixture is working, it's heating, and while it's heating, it expands its air volume, and you could develop a buildup of the humidity, which would show on the glass cover. Then you would have a catastrophic optic performance. Also, in the longer period of times, you would have LED malfunction, etc., etc. And
it's a failure.
It's a failure. Yeah. So the IP67 is main difference is the pressure vent. The pressure vent is it's specialized type of equipment which we place just to have this kind of protections. Now, many people will ask, okay, but in IP68 underwater, will those problems be neglected? So will disappear? Yeah. Will there be humidity buildup? Will the LED malfunction and so on and so on? And the answer is no, because as I will get you a little bit of thermodynamics now. So the air and the water are two different fluids. The water conducts heat 20 times better than the air. So fixture is covered with the water, and it allows the fixtures to be cool enough so it will work without any humidity buildup and without the electrical function.
Okay, I see you guys all muted, which is good, so we can let Marko get his geek on in IP68. Do you have any questions so far? Feel free to drop in, unmute yourself, have a go at it. Otherwise, we'll just continue, doing our stuff. My next question for Marko was, and it's a question.
What about submersible? Hey, thanks, guys. What about submersible into a fountain or something? What's that rating? And is there standards across the globe for that?
IP68. IP68 as it's submersed in water.
If I can add, you said across the globe, so this caught my attention. It's so different territories define different standards. So if somebody here is around from States, so we are talking about UL standards, and then the IP ratings, which are, so UL being in US, while IP used elsewhere. I'd say that the main differences is that UL ratings recognize the fixtures that are submersible for fountains and for non-human use, and then you have a rating which also defines a human-use pool, but they're very different. So the IP sometimes it's being translated to the US terms, but it's not directly translatable because it's then it ends up being wet location.
Wet location.
Yeah. So, but they're not the same. They're quite different. But so US its own terms, and then I'd say the rest of the world IP ratings.
Right. So are there, my next question.
So sorry if I didn't answer, but still fountains, IP68, yes, with continuous submersion.
If I may only add, guys, so hi guys, for the testing for the swimming pool fixture, who are you? Hi, I'm Antonia, I'm Regional Manager Americas with Filix Lighting.
Okay, you may proceed.
The testing process for the ETL, for the UL standards for swimming pools are much more rigorous for the swimming pools to receive a standard, a certification, to be able to mount the swimming pool fixtures. they are quite heavy. So not only that the fixtures are being tested on submersion levels, but also the IK rating is very important. So Marko, maybe it would be okay if you just tell us a little bit something that we went through the test phases of ETL in the US. So maybe the people who have joined us don't know it yet. Filix Lighting has received the certification for its underwater lighting fixtures to be applicable in swimming pools in January 2020. So just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, the ETL standard is quite hard to get because each component of the picture has to be ETL approved, from the O-rings to, I don't know, materials and so on and so on. So each material has to be UL approved, it has to be approved by its standards like UL 94, which is for the materials that are flammable. I know you can have.
So they're sitting in water, but they still be they have to be a flammability test.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite strange, but those are the things they are searching for. Also, they are looking for the construction of the picture, which
hello.
You have to have the when you sorry you have short break. When each niches for the picture to be surrounded by water all the time, you have to have a design thickness of the material so it doesn't get below 2 millimeters or and so on and so on. It's quite a rigorous standard, and we have managed to get it because each picture we develop with the ETL or UL standard.
UL components.
Yeah,
UL components already. Okay.
Design also.
If I can add, if I remember right, it took more than 12 months, 12 to a year and a half almost, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a long process, and it took a while, but finally we are there. So it's a nice thing to be there. Okay.
Right. Yeah. A question that we get a lot from designers is IP68 rating and the use of that rating outside of water. What's your take on it? So I know what's my take on it. My opinion is, it's either or. So IP68, as per definition, is continuous submersion, and operation of IP68 fittings outside of water is not not a thing. Yes, you said it.
Go ahead.
I have seen big manufacturers rate their, I don't know, Ingram or some other fixtures IP68 plus, or I don't know what's the rating of those fixtures. But it's complete nonsense. As I said in the beginning of our talk, 68 is a continuous submersion up to more than 3 meters for extended times. So if you have the in-ground or bollard or some kind of other fixtures rated IP68, it means that you're flooded all the time. So if you ask me, for the in-grounds, IP67 is optimal. You will use IP68 for in-grounds only if you have, I don't know, floods.
Continuous floods.
Yeah, continuous floods.
If you have that many floods, I'm guessing that the operation of your fittings is going to be the least of your problems. So.
Yeah.
No, but I think what I find confusing in this certification and process of specifying, and what we find, I think, the most challenging is you find products which are IP68 non-submersible, and for us, it's not something we do or we want to do, because then it means we are downgrading a rating, which means continuous submersion. So we are building something in between IP67 and IP68, and nobody knows what it exactly is, and then how do you define warranties behind it? So what is the?
I think the companies use the low knowledge of the customers to give them the IP68, but it's not.
It's used as a marketing sales.
Yeah.
Submersible, underwater application. So it's not as per the definition, per the standard.
Yeah.
Let me just add one thing to that IP discussion, if I may.
Yes, please. Hi, Marko. Welcome.
Yeah, hi everybody.
Another Marko, yes.
Yeah.
Bring in the Markos.
So even more confusing here. No, let me just add one important thing about IP68. We all know that there are environments such as fountains or entry parts in pools where a permanent submersion is not always given. So these areas are quite special areas. And yeah, I can give this question to Marko, but if I'm not wrong, we can allow under circumstances that our fittings will work inside and outside of water, which is a quite important point to add.
Yeah, that's correct. We can use those pictures. We are developing the picture. New Marko family will have the capability to be mounted as some kind of projector or underwater picture. So it can be used as the fountain picture or underwater picture.
Yeah. To add to this, I would just like to add the reason why we have a limitation there, because the full body is a stainless steel 316L. And the dissipation is limited, so we cannot have large fixtures which are IP68 rated operating outside, because we don't have dissipation. So that's the limitation we have there. Good.
Yeah, so basically your tidal situations, flood situations, close to some sort of place where the fitting might be submerged can have the IP68 rating, but that is again a situation to situation, project to project discussion that needs to be addressed that way. Right. Aside from what you guys mentioned before, so the UL listing requires the fitting to be made with a certain type of component. Is there something else that makes an IP68 instrument an IP68 instrument? Yeah. Is there anything in the components, in the way that it's manufactured, in the materials that are used, that are specific to that rating?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. So for the underwater pictures, you will not use aluminum or some kind of materials like that. We are using stainless steel 316L, which will have good qualities in the underwater environment, like it will have a good resistance to corrosion, good resistance to fouling, etc. And the thing we also do, just to protect the ingression of water through the cable, we do a split and seal connection in the cable length, so we don't allow any water ingression through the fine wires of the cable. Also, we use the materials that we are sure that it will not react with the chlorine, because chlorine, as we know, is the chemical substance that will destroy anything.
Good. So we have a question there from it's TVW. And it says the US ETL listing is based on the UL 676. Typically in the US, we need the spec to say it is wet, dry fixture to be able to be used outside the water. So this is, I would assume, it would be an IP68 for an outside operation. So I guess this is what the point was for. So 676 UL would be rated as something like IP67, while IP68 in the US would have to be mentioned in the spec as a wet dry fixture.
Done? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Another thing that is specific that I always mention when we're presenting Filix products and when we're presenting the Make a Splash workshop underwater fittings is the process of actually creating that fitting. So if Marko can maybe just guide us through what it takes or what the process looks like from incepting a fitting. I always use the Nexus, the Apple Nexus that we have as an example, because that's a quite unique fitting. So what is the process from the inception the actual ready-made product.
So basically, everything starts with the idea: where do you want to use that fixture? How do you want to use it? How it stands out compared to our rivals, and so on and so on. But everything revolves about the engine of the fixture. Everything is developed around the engine. We have in development few fittings that they are quite unique, but we will leave that for later. So basically, when you have the idea, how to make the product, what will we use it for, then we go on and design the components. After the first design, we go on and reiterate it and do a little bit of redesigning because of the common problems. We have to be, it has to be functional, it has to be economically feasible, it has to be optimized for the production department, so it assembles easily, because if it's everything is easy to make complex and expensive, but if you make something that is easy to assemble, it has the function and it's cost effective, then you are on the right track. So after the design development phase, first development phase, we go on through each component, see if it can be optimized, if it can be improved, and so on and so on. Then after we approve every component of the picture, also when we test the LED boards, optics, everything now around revolves about the engine, as I said. So at this time, in the market is filled with good optics and good chips. It's not as it used to be, where you will have a few chips that are not that
satisfying the needs.
Satisfying, so, yeah. You will see underwater manufacturers did not develop over the time. So you will see the ugly underwater fixtures which has glass cover like headlights of the car.
Yeah, the ones we had up until just a while back. So we've had significant advancements. With the advancement of technology, we were able to have, nicer looking fittings, a bit, sexier, if I may. Yeah. And that's when you adopt, the advancement in technologies and what are the possibilities there. Then you can have a better product.
It was also the idea to get them a bit, if I could say, running and moving, because for quite long years, you have seen all guys that the product's been quite stable and flat, and did not really allow possibilities to play with it in terms of design or performance or optics. So the use of it was quite limited. So
right. We have a question from Jason. Jason is asking, so does he specify, when he specifies our IP68 fitting, does he need to put a note about the connector rating separately? So that's a no. Our fittings will come equipped with an IP68 connector. Yeah. The connector can be located in the water itself. So we use a manufacturer from Italy called Techno.
Yeah, it has all the certification needed for the IP68 rating, so salt chamber tests and extended times of the exposure to the water jets and underwater submersion.
So just to give you an example, when we do the Make a Splash workshop, so we submerge the instruments in water, we use all the fittings in our range, and we connect and disconnect them in the water. And I have been using the same sample kit for the past 2 years with the same connectors, still fully operational, still fully working. So that was a lot of connect-disconnect cycles in the water. We were scared for a bit that the pins might rust, but they have been proven to be extremely resistant, and they are as good as new. So yeah, the fittings are delivered with those connectors.
If I could add to this, really depends, not necessarily always is the connector there. So it's a choice.
Yeah.
But it's also you have two options of installing the fixture in the water. So one is that you do the connection in the back box, so behind the fixture, and the second option is you take the cable, you pull it to a dry area, and then you do a connection there. So basically in this case, where you have a cable being pulled to a dry area, you don't need an IP rated connector. So you do it in a dry area anyways, it can be connected with whatever kind of connection there. So it depends on how the site is done and how the fixtures are going to be wired there.
Yeah, let me just jump in here and add one remark, please. So for sure, we offer also cable lengths in a custom way. So there are possibilities also to avoid connectors, but all the rest has been said in terms of connectors.
So, sorry, Marko?
We didn't hear you.
Oh, you didn't get that?
No, it's something, the line was breaking.
No, I was just saying that for sure cable lengths can be specified as wanted, more than our 3 meters of standard of cable.
Yes,
I mean, we didn't want to take it just to break in this, marketing of our products or anything, but we have this option where we increase the voltage, operational voltage now, that allows us to have longer runs covered between the power supplies and the luminaires. So if we're talking about a project in the early stages, we can address that issue and we can mount the required length of the cable onto the fitting in the factory. Otherwise, IP68 connector and just connect the cable onwards.
Good.
We have 2 more questions. One is from Mark, who is asking if it's possible to modify the amperage of the power supply when we need lower power. So I'm going to leave that up to Marko. Marko?
So the power supply when we need a lower power. So everything what we have now is voltage driven. And basically you have so what is going to happen, somebody has to calculate the voltage drop on a certain distance. So the only option you have with this voltage running fixture is that you can use a power supply which allows you a voltage adjustability. So in case you have a longer voltage requirement and drop, in this case, you can increase the voltage, but you can compensate the voltage, not increase. So I'm not sure if this is the question, because we're not really able to understand what it means to lower the power.
Maybe Mark can switch on his microphone and we can hear a bit, to clarify a bit the question.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yes, if you could speak up a bit.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So my question was about the modification of the power supply, because when we have some projects, if we need to have different power in the same place, I guess if you have different size in the swimming pool, and sometimes you need maybe one side on lumen and the other side you need only 800 lumens. So normally you can just modify the power supply to have a milliampere difference.
So basically what you want to do, you want to control the lumen package in a lighting fixture through a power supply. Okay, but then in this case, so the fixtures are built in the way that it's possible, but you would need something that is going to control this fixture. So it's going to be a DALI, or it's going to be a 1 to 10 or a DMX unit.
Yeah.
So all the boards within the fixture have controls on board. That's why we do it 12 or 24 volts. And then you can use any of the 3 controllers to control the light output. But that's the only way. If you are thinking of controlling it through a main feed or a plus minus power supply, it's not possible. Like mains dimming.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
So I hope we answered. I'm not sure if we answered your question.
No, it's good.
I didn't even understand. Okay, guys, we have another question from Ayman, who's being quite the joker. So she's wondering why we discontinued the flexible linear strip, which we used to have and was part of our product line. So an IP68 linear surface mounted flexible strip, and is wondering if we're coming up with one in the future. I don't think so. And what would be a solution for a minimal discrete linear fitting when they're specified, so when there's a need for it.
If I can add to it on a commercial side, because we talked about the flexible strip last time, and the flexible strip is something we will never believe it's a real product. And so I think we can state it this way. The reason why somebody is using a flexible strip is because it's small and it provides continuous line of light. But on the other hand side, whoever has been, on a pool construction site and has tried to do a channel in concrete to put it in there, to wire it, to insulate it, it's something which is crazy impossible, and it's not a solid solution. And that's why we built the Nexus. Yeah. So it doesn't compare, but it's a continuous line of light to represent something which it could be a strip. So that's why we took it off. Maybe in the future, we were actually talking about maybe one day getting some flexible strip options, but in a completely different way, but it's not up in the schedule for now. So.
Okay, so I'm on keep tuned. The guys are working on it. And it's
Light and Build 2024. Maybe.
Good to know.
Right. I think we have covered more or less everything in the technical department, what we wanted to talk about. We have, since we have Marko here, we wanted to keep it light a bit. And if you guys don't have any more questions, so if you still have technical questions, feel free to shoot.
I have one question.
Of course you do.
I see that Marko Milano is so much enjoying his German beer. When is he going to share some with us?
This is only for the Germans.
Well, I would love to, but I mean, I cannot at the moment, as we all know, unfortunately.
Hey,
I also share some of your my German peanuts with you.
FedEx and UPS keep working, they keep delivering stuff.
They're the winners of this COVID situation.
So guys, it would be, if we're going to go slowly off the topic of the underwater. I mean, we've done some of the things here today, but so whoever was really not here last time, the video we've done and the shooting of the clip, the link we send you in the very beginning is something really useful for you to have a look, because really we don't have options to do a live mock-up in pools, whoever, you talk to. And it's something you can use on a daily basis to have a look how things work underwater. And we will keep on doing similar things so we can actually show what the lights do in the underwater. Talking about this, eventually somewhere in May, we will be doing a live talk from a pool, and we will be doing a live splash mock-up from a pool to you guys out. So keep tracking our schedule and the activities, and we'll come there.
Okay, here's the link again. Jason Min, any plan on making the 0G fixture lighter? Lighter as in heavy, or lighter as in color?
More lighter or more out.
Hey Jason, can you send us a question live?
Yeah. We'll unmute you.
Wait.
No, I muted.
Well,
yeah.
Well, my wife is having a meeting, so I don't think I can really talk to you guys because I got a background noise. But basically, are you guys? I know the 0G has a glass top, like heavy duty the glass top protection.
Right.
But any plan on making it like using acrylic or maybe polycarbonate? Like make it lighter, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, so
we can make the acrylic color top, but it's an infrared picture. It has to be IK10 and we don't see any use of making the acrylic only glass.
So if I could add to this, it's why you think would you benefit from a lighter fixture? It should be so that the image of Filix is to have a glass on top surface, so you have really a feeling of elegance, and you get a feeling that the product is done properly. And so glass, after all, and stainless steel are two things which we like to work with, I think, also. And it has a weight capability as well, so 1.5 tons. So is there any specific reason why would you want to have it lighter, for example? I mean, it's sitting in ground.
Maybe shipping costs.
Well, actually, I really like the beam, the quality. So I think Antonia knows. I'm starting to put in your in-ground fixture into the soffit actually now, shooting down, and it works greatly in AGI when I tested it, or Xylix. So and I'm using your AIS file, and then Antonia was helping us producing the mounting details of shooting it down, but I mean, it's too heavy at some point. So
no, I mean, for the application, seems like what you're having. Yes, it is. You're right, but it's built for the in-ground, so the being as it is. Of course, we are not going to change it, but for the application you're having, there is going to be, I guess, a possible modification coming on the way, or whatever was agreed on. So, yeah. But so for every one of you who know, a 0G is an in-ground linear, zero glare, so a way to say, or very controlled glare grazer.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for questions, Jason.
All right. Try to keep it light here. Well, not that light. We've had the situation that you guys are in, that most of us found ourselves in. I didn't. I live 2 minutes here from the office, so I get to go to the office and work every day. Marko, same thing. We keep to ourselves. We each work in our own corner in the office. Marko here, on the other hand, has been working from home, so we just, I wanted to understand and to know, how is it working from home for an engineer? So someone who is used to having the samples at hand, the components at hand, to test the things, how is that?
So we have to do a lot of design phasing of the fixtures. I, as an engineer, I'm closely bonded with the production department. I have to have the products in my hand, and at this time it was impossible because I had to work from home. But we had a lot of time to develop our projects in the design phase. We had the time to see through each detail. We would probably miss because we would be really swamped with the other projects in the production department, and so on and so on. But it's always better to work in the facilities, because as he said, as Ivica said, it's always better to have the product in your hands, because when you have something in your hand, you can see its problems, you can see what their advantages and what can you improve. In the paper can withstand anything, so you can draw anything you want. It will look good, but in the real life, it's
so
really different.
Everything will live in paper, but not really in reality.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's right.
Good. What else? What do you guys want to talk about? Is there something? I wanted to ask him another question. So exclusively today here, you have the chance, we have Marko here, to hear if there is anything new coming from Filix, and if their new stuff is not just going to be your old boring uplight or your underwater light. Are we preparing something? You can say no. I don't know. I actually am really curious myself. So is there something?
I'm keeping all the details for myself, but I'm not sure if I am allowed to answer on those questions.
I'm certain that the people here can, keep that to themselves and their projects, and specify it only in their projects, so not divulge the information.
Yeah, we're working on
A discrete linear, maybe? No?
There we go.
Might be. There's something that Marko will look at.
Undercover flexible strip.
yeah, we're working on a lot of projects, in grounds and underwater pictures. So we're developing something called dark light. It's an underwater picture that will have no glare. You will not be able to see the source of the light. Also, we are developing something that's I'm not sure if you're aware of our RDT fixture, which has tiltable optics. So we are developing something in the underwater which will have the tiltable optics, which can be used in the irregular shapes of the pool, or to light up some statues from the fountains, etc. Also,
so I'd say very specific applications. I guess the designers would know the dark light effect. So because this is a term coming from your field, and so this is something what you can look into coming from us. But of course, you'll see it eventually when we have it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we covered more or less what we wanted to cover today. Not going to keep it over an hour. We'll leave another 10 minutes for some Q&A. If you have any questions about the technical part, about the IP rating, if you want to share those memes, now is the time. So get your beer case from Filix and share those memes. We want to see them. We do quite enjoy them.
Yeah, if you have time in the coming weeks, we have put out a schedule. So basically what we do is, we do, of course, as everyone else, we're trying to do a day-to-day meeting to offices to really present the lighting pictures, which the show here is not, the idea of the show is not to go around and show you pictures, but more of an entertainment and education level. So next week, we are going to have here Dean Skira. Some of you guys know him. So if it's something you think is going to be interesting for you, please join us. We still don't have his topic, but he's going to be here with something for sure. And he's going to be our guest. He's going to be sitting with us. Yes. So yes, guys, please just, if you have any questions now, I'll be happy to answer. If not, we really do appreciate you being with us.
Yes, thank you for supporting it. We hope you'll join us next week. We feel it's going to grow. It's going to become, better. We're going to have new topics. We're going to have some new equipment to up the sound, up the video, and if not, we're still going to have a few beers and a few laughs. So, all good in any case.
So take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wash your hands. Be safe.
Hey,
keep your distance. You can turn on your microphones now.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. There is some guys here. So
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers. Cheers. Yeah, take care. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you for being here.
Au revoir, merci, mon ami.